Hey everyone, it's Anthony here from the Retro Gaming Store. How are you? So this is episode 3 of how we started the business and how we came from where we are into what we've become now. So this one is about 2015, and it's quite an interesting year this time. So 1 week into 2015, quiet as January generally was for us, and I was at home doing normal stuff, and I got a call at around 11:45 at night, and it was, you need to get down to the shop, and you need to get down to the shop nice and quickly. So I was thinking, oh crap, what now? So went down, and I didn't even need to go around the corner. I could see bits of what I thought was glass or something on the ground, and of course I went down, and one of our two big windows had been smashed into smithereens. And when I mean smashed into smithereens, there was pieces of glass embedded in the wooden surroundings of the shop across the road from us. That's how bad it was. Now, I was like, what am I meant to do at midnight? Guards didn't bother coming, but then again, to be honest, it wasn't going to be the first experience I had with guards in the store, and it certainly wouldn't be in the last either. So obviously you had to kind of root around in a shop. We didn't have much cleaning supplies at the time because, well, we didn't do much cleaning other than just sweeping the floors and stuff. So I kind of had to find boxes and kind of go around with kind of, the little dustpan and brush, and try and clean glass off the road and the other store's property, which at the time was Heaton's, in the pitch black. There's no cameras on South Main Street. I'm pretty certain there still is no cameras on South Main Street. I could be wrong about that. But no, I actually think there isn't still. We've been canvassing for that, obviously, for the last 10 years now, I guess. And, well, as you all know, councils don't move with any kind of speed, to be honest. So we might get one in another 20 years. Who knows? So, yeah, so that was great start to January. Lovely smashed window, and of course you get the usual thing the next morning when we had a big board up against the window. Oh, what happened there? Well, who did that? Did the guards catch them? And the answer is, don't know. No idea who they were. No idea what they were doing. Guards clearly haven't got a clue either, because after they took an initial statement the next day, we never heard from them again at all whatsoever. And we chased once or twice, and we've no leads, and they just went about their business, to be honest. I don't hold much faith in the guards whatsoever in this country, to be honest, not with what I see goes on in town every single day either. And they don't do a good enough job, and I'm not into this. There's not enough resources. When we go to the guard station, there's plenty there. We just don't see much of that on the town. So anyhow, January, obviously I kind of touched on in the last one, where I was buying a very, very special printer to print on phone cases. At the very end of January, that finally arrived. For whatever reason, arrived at my house instead of the store, which was a bit of a pain in the ass, because it's not a small machine. It was a very big, bulky, heavy machine. And opened all the packaging, and the container that holds all of the inks had a massive crack in it. So I was like, great, just spent €6,000 on this thing, and it's broken before I even get to use it. And I was like, why am I in business? Like, why do I want to work for myself? And I was like, grand, got on to them. They said it's in a replacement. I was like, how long is this going to take? They said it's in about DHL, so it should take a few days. We'll wait and see what happens. So I said, fine, nothing I could do about that. I know these things happen, but everything seems to be happening in one go. And then on the 8th of February 2015, my uncle passed away. And that was significant enough as it is. We're a really close family. And that was a tough day. And right at the end of the day, 3 guys walked in, and I'm not one for missing my words. They were travelers. They were travelers. 3 travelers walked into the shop. I was by myself. My cousin, who had wooden prints, was already gone. He said he was coming back, but there was just me by myself there. One was at the front of the shop, one came up to me, and one went behind me, obviously where my cousin's work is. At the time, the storeroom was covered by a curtain, black lace curtain that you literally just pull across, and you can go into your heart's content. And that's what he did. It was stupid. We obviously got a door eventually for it, but obviously we need to check with the landlord, could we change, obviously, because putting a door in instead of a curtain was a deal enough. So he went and didn't take any stock. What he did do was worse. He actually stole the keys. Luckily at the time, my shop keys and my house and car keys were separate, and I'd normally leave my wallet in my coat in the back as well, because obviously it's always only just me there, and nobody really went beyond the counter. Nobody ever walked really beyond the counter in our store. And I had my wallet in my pocket because I'd grabbed lunch earlier, and I'd never put it back in. So they took the house keys and they took the car keys. Thankfully the car keys, it was a Volkswagen Golf at the time. Thankfully the car keys were my second set of keys, so it actually didn't say or have any details of the car about it. I'm sure they walked around the town and the car parks pushing the button. Unfortunately for them, and tough shit to use, the button didn't work. You had to use the key in the door. The second key had to be used in the door to open, so good luck to them on that one. They never found it. And obviously they never found the house, but we changed the key anyway. And I got rid of that car not too long after that anyway. So yeah, so that's all in the first 2 months. And when I went to the funeral home that night, obviously everybody had already known about it. And you're sitting there, it's really quiet, and then everybody just burst out laughing and just saying, typical, everything just seems to happen at one time. And what could you do? I actually, funnily enough, started to relax about my business after that, because I was like, what else can happen? We've already had our property damaged, we've had our property stolen. Next thing, probably want the place go on fire or something like that. But, well, actually, I'll tell a lie. The place nearly went on fire a couple of years later, but I'll tell you about that then. It wasn't my fault. So yeah, so that's the first couple of months of 2015. Things really settled down, and my cousin had just mentioned something to me about a little thing called pop sockets. I never heard of them. And they became the fastest and best selling thing probably I've had in store in 11 years. I know fidget spinners made an appearance into every store everywhere, but we, for at least 6 months, were the only place you could get pop sockets in this town. And my God, did they sell. They kept us in business. They actually trundled right through Easter and summer. We didn't make the same mistakes with stock as much anymore. We were buying in a lot of blank cases, and we were taking customer orders. So customers wanted their kids on their cases, or they wanted names on the cases, or they wanted photos or anything like that. We were able to produce it now, and the quality of it was actually really, really good. So I was actually really, really happy with the quality of it, and that was great. It was an absolutely phenomenal Christmas. For the first time, we actually made money in 2015. And I thought to myself, obviously, I could give myself a bonus, which most businesses do. But I was kind of more thinking, I don't want to do the phone business anymore. It was boring as hell. It was a means to an end. It was a means to actually just keep me paying my bills at home. And I had the premises now that I kind of wanted and was happy with at the time. So I start looking into my childhood hobby, which is video games, which I was collecting a lot for at the time anyway. And I said, right, and most people don't know this, because people just assume it was near the end of the following year. But I actually had some video games in the store near the end of 2015. Not much. Some of my own duplicates. People wandered in and kind of like, oh, it's a phone store, but it's got some video games in the back. Let's check this out. And they all sold, and I thought, great, that's fantastic. I never really kind of thought to myself, I can get lots and lots of these. I can put all the money from the phone accessory business into this and do that. It was probably another year down the line, which actually turned out to be nearly another year down the line anyway. But yeah, that was the first introduction to adding video games in store. Now, there was no more than maybe 20 or 30 games. They sold within a couple of weeks and I didn't replace them. It was more get rid of my duplicates, see what the market's like, and kind of go from there. I was part of a business kind of in town at that time that didn't end well, unfortunately, which was a real shame because I actually really enjoyed doing it. But it kind of whetted my appetite to actually do it in store. And it would take me a while longer to do it, but 2016 is probably the most standout year in the whole business up to last year. So we'll go through that next week. And that's if you stick around long enough to actually listen to me rattle on. But I think 2016 had probably the two most significant changes to me personally and to my business also. So guys, it's nice chatting as usual and see you all soon. Take care. Bye bye.